A hearty good night to the good people of Speightstown. A hearty good night to the people of St. Peter. St. Peter, are you in the house? Yes! I am very pleased to have the opportunity to be here with you in the great parish of St. Peter. St. Peter has been important to Barbados for many, many reasons. Thank you. Thank you. St. Peter, at a personal level, is where my family have come from. All the husbands that you've seen in St. Peter and St. Lucy, we're all connected there. St. Peter has also been the place of the birth, the raising of Owen Seymour Arthur, who was one of the great prime ministers of Barbados, and did you proud as a parish. Owen Arthur had a strong vision for this country and a strong vision for St. Peter. And when he put in front of the people of St. Peter the person that he best wanted to represent them, the person that he felt he could trust to be able to take forward the action in St. Peter and to be able to contribute to national development, Owen Seymour Arthur chose Colin Jordan. And I want to share with you some thoughts tonight about the man called Colin Jordan. First of all, he's a friend and a colleague of mine. Colin Jordan and I have had the opportunity to work together before ever coming into politics. And one of the things that we share in common is that both of us have a deep commitment to God and a deep commitment to serving His purpose. So when we made the commitment to come into politics, it was not because we saw a sudden opportunity in a party to get a chance to become an MP or to become a minister. We didn't just hop on the latest bandwagon. We weren't hopping and skipping and wondering where we could go to be able to get into politics. We were people who were serious about service, and therefore we prayed and presented ourselves in a serious way to the people that we represent today. And let me tell you something. From the time I knew Colin's background, he started out as an accountant. Colin then went to work in tourism. And I'm sharing this for a particular reason. Because when I first encountered him, he was working at hotels and he was in charge of training. I was a management consultant. I offered training up and down the length and breadth of this country. Many hotel workers know of me and my work. And I had to interact with Colin because he was at a hotel and he was in charge of training for that hotel. And I can tell you that on the mind of Colin Jordan is fairness to workers. On the mind of Colin Jordan is how can we help workers to do better, to earn better, to get a better break. Constantly in his representation of the workers where he was working at a hotel, deep in his heart was always how can we make life and conditions better for workers, and how can we defend and protect them? So that when Colin came into the Ministry of Labor, he was not a stranger to labor. This was a natural thing for him to be able to serve the labor that he had always served way back in time in hotels. And therefore you saw it in the quality of work and the drive which he brought to the Ministry of Labor. Colin was able to bless not only St. Peter, but the whole of Barbados with the legislation that his ministry produced in order to make life better for people. One of the things that he had brought was the Sexual Harassment Act. You also had the Employment Rights Act. You have the Safety and Health Act. And he also introduced the minimum wage. But what was moving behind all those pieces of legislation? It was to make a better life for every worker in Barbados and in St. Peter. And he will go down in history as one of the most productive ministers of labor, who was the most transformative for the people of Barbados and for the people of St. Peter, Colin Jordan. I grew to respect this man. I was able to respect him because he's committed to his principles. He's a man of integrity. And more importantly, he is a man that cares. You only have to see the care that he has for his daughters, beautiful daughters. For Colin, making a better life for people is what drives him every single day. And that is why it is important for the people of St. Peter and the people of Speightstown to recognize that this election is not about who you like, who you don't like. It is not about, it is their turn, it is that turn. This is not about the person who drinks with me and the person who makes sport with me. Every vote that you cast in an election must be about the best interest of you and your family and your prosperity and your betterment. That is what your vote is about. You have one simple question to ask. Which party, which person can do the most for me and my family in relation to laying a platform that will help us to be able to get ahead in life? So let's examine the record. When you bring legislation for employee rights, where you're able to protect employees from unfair dismissal, where people cannot get up one day and on caprice decide that they're going to change your terms and conditions, you are protecting the right of workers to security in their jobs. When you bring legislation that says we must keep workers safe, many work environments are not up to scratch. That is the truth. In my constituency, I have talked to a number of people who had to come up medically unfit. Why? Because they had an accident on the job. Because maybe the type of equipment they had was not adequate. Maybe it was that they did not have the protective equipment. Maybe they did not have the training to be able to execute their job in a manner that was safe. And just by failing to provide the right environment in which workers can work safely, what was the result? People became injured and could no longer take care of their families. People became injured and the dreams for their families had to die. People were injured and they found themselves in financial difficulty and could not advance their lives as they had planned. And how did we bring that to a stop? By giving the leadership over the Ministry of Labor to Colin Jordan, who brought the legislation that was able to help us to implement safety standards in every single company and help us to be able to hold accountable any employer, any company that did not honor what was required of them through that legislation. And that is why you are safer today, because of the work of Colin Jordan and the work of the Barbados Labour Party. Now, good work is important. Getting quality work is even more important. And if you walk the length and breadth of this country, you would hear young people saying, yes, I want a job, but I want to be able to get the type of job that fits my skills or my interests. And one of the things that we recognized as a government, as we sat as a cabinet and looked at the challenges we were having with unemployed young people, of young people at risk, we recognized that there needed to be a massive change in the way in which we approach the education of our children and the opportunities that we put before them. So what was going to be needed? Not a siloed approach. What was going to be needed was for ministries now to start working together to be able to create the environment in which our young people could thrive. Because when young people have dreams but have no hope of achieving them, certain things happen. In males, you can get an explosion. This is where you can find yourself with crime and violence in the home because they're frustrated. In women, you can see it in depression and not caring anymore about what happens to them and not safeguarding themselves in their social life, etc., because they feel there is no hope. No hope can destroy a people. It does not only destroy the individual person, it also destroys a nation. And I want you to understand this. Every dream that a Barbadian has will have an impact on other Barbadians. I'll give you an example. If your dream is to own a home and you achieve that, in so doing, you have provided an opportunity for someone who is in construction who wanted to succeed in their dream of building a construction company. Your dream has helped their dream to become a reality. If you decided that you wanted to be a masseuse, you wanted to be a physiotherapist, and you were able to get the scholarship, you were able to get the training, and you were able to set up your business to offer physiotherapy, you now can help fulfill the dreams of others who are injured and are in need of your services to relieve their pain, to get them back to health, to help them to go on and continue to live their dream because you are able to help them to come back to a place where they're more mobile without pain. Every dream that you have, when it is accomplished, affects everybody else's dream as well. And that is why in an economy, we need each other. That is why in an economy, you cannot afford for one young person not to succeed. You can't afford for one worker's future to be cut off. Because the success of every individual in the country leads to the greater success of all. And that is one of the reasons why we must serve each other better. That is one of the reasons why we must treat each other better. That is one of the reasons why we must be more considerate of each other. Everybody's dream matters. And this Barbados Labour Party is deeply committed to that. That is why, as a committed government, we spend time understanding what are the changing dynamics that are out there affecting people, that will come to affect your life, affect your job, affect your earning capacity, that could come and cut you short with a pension, that could come and cut you short from reaching your fullest financial prosperity. When you have changing international conditions, then a government must be competent and nimble enough to help change the dynamics to allow you to continue to thrive and survive in changing conditions. And you heard my brother Chad. He shared with you why we have to look at taking education to a completely different level, why we must start training our children from young and training them differently so that they are able to be competent not only in terms of learning, but in terms of team cooperation, solving problems, being innovative, being creative. And therefore, we have invested more than $2 billion over the last 2 years, investing that in education. As the person with responsibility for Ministry of Training and Tertiary Education, we have had to look at reforming the entire tertiary system. Why? Because it was not set up to help our people to succeed. One of the difficulties that we have had is that we have taught our children that unless you qualify with academics, you are a failure. We have to apologize to our children for what has happened over these past 50, 60 years that has affected them in understanding that there are different types of skills, different types of intelligences. Each one has worth, each one has earning capacity, and every child deserves the opportunity to so do. And so we're making changes at the tertiary level. And what are some of the things that we are looking to do? The first thing that we are looking to do is to create a student-responsive tertiary system. What does that mean? It means giving access to people who want to pursue technical skills. But we recognize that today's student does not want to take 3 and 4 years away from earning just to make a living, just to be able to get a piece of certificate paper that says that they can get a good paying job. That young people today want to earn while they learn. So what must we do with tertiary education? We are going to be changing the system to allow you to take what we call micro-credentials, where instead of doing something for 3-4 years, you can get competency-based skills and acquire those skills in 2-month and 3-month situations so that you keep building your package of skills at the pace that you can manage. And what does that mean? That you can work while you learn. You can earn while you learn. And what does this do for the individual? It allows them to learn at their pace. But we're also taking it a step further. We have terrorized people with exams, with trying to memorize everything and trying to remember it in one moment and put it down on a piece of paper. No, with competency-based learning, what we'll be introducing at the tertiary level is that you will demonstrate your competency. So if you were taught join a work and you were able to build a chair, this is what you were taught, then your exam would be to build a chair, to demonstrate that you can get it done. If you're doing human ecology, to be able to do hairdressing or whatever was the skill you were after, to demonstrate that you have the competence to execute the task, that you are being tested by doing. And that makes a big difference to people who don't like exams. So what we're trying to do is to create an environment that is much more responsive to the needs and the learning styles of students. Now, we felt that this was important for a very critical reason. There are changes going on across the world that will change forever how we work. Many jobs that we now do, many ways in which we execute them, we will no longer be able to execute them that way because the world is changing. Digital technology has stepped in now, and many jobs that people did in a certain way, we no longer can do it that way. So that is going to challenge people like bank clerks. That is going to challenge people who do customer service at a store. That is going to bring challenges to people who write, or their work is making reports or creating ads or whatever it is. Technology is going to change how a number of us work. So what does a responsible government do? You set up a system whereby you are going to assist people to reskill and upskill. If we fail to do that, it means that we are going to find ourselves at risk for high unemployment. And national employment is a major security issue. So our responsibility is to let you know that a number of jobs will change, but that we have put in place what is going to be required to help us reskill and upskill Barbadians. So what are some of the things we are working on? We are working on the formation of the University College of Barbados. This is going to bring together 4 institutions and make them one university college that has a focus on technical skills and vocational skills. And we are going to be able to expand the number of students that can pursue that. Right now, we turn away a couple thousand young people who cannot get into the SJPI or BVT because we don't have enough room. And what we are working on is acquiring funds to help us build out new capacity, where we are going to be able, now instead of being able to house and manage 4,000 students, we should be able to house and manage 7,000 students. That means every single Barbadian child can come and study what he or she wants to study, because this job is going to give them the opportunity to step on the ladder and begin to climb and move up. So these are the things that we are putting in place. So on one side, you have the Ministry of Education transformation, changing how our young people study from primary all the way to secondary. And then you have at the tertiary level, we're helping them now to focus on the specific skill that will give them that career. And then Colin Jordan at the Ministry of Labor is ensuring that there's decent work, he's ensuring that there are protections, and he is ensuring that they have what is necessary to be able to grow and become a global citizen. So I just want to end by saying our aim is to provide this nation with highly skilled, technologically literate, community-minded people who have the confidence and the mindset to operate not only locally but globally. That is a journey that we have to do together. We can provide all the training in the world, but if our young people, if our working population don't understand why we need to change our skills and raise our skill levels, then the investment and the work is in vain. So it means we must walk hand in hand. So I'm saying to St. Peter, I'm saying to Speightstown, hold Colin Jordan's hand. As his cabinet colleagues, we are going to hold his hand. And together, we will hold the hands of the Prime Minister, Mia Amor-Motley, and this entire country will start a march towards a new future where we can fit into the global situation and be able to find the jobs, find the investment, find the services that we need to be able to take Barbados to a higher and a better place. Give us Colin Jordan. Give yourselves Colin Jordan. On February the 11th, we are saying to you, go in that polling booth, look for Colin Jordan's name, put your X carefully in that box and bring Colin back to Parliament. His colleagues are looking for him. His family is looking for him. Barbados is looking for him. God bless you all. Give Colin Jordan your vote and give him your fullest support in every possible way. God bless you.